So in the previous blog posting, we created this little weldment profile. Now we're going to use that weldment profile to create a little wooden deck. Now, also I will mention that I've built, prior to this, a 2x4. I did it with exactly the same method as I used to create this 2x6. What I will also mention here is that, if I'm honest, I don't know what standard code is for decks, so if I do make any errors in that respect, I do hope you'll forgive that. We're just going to make a very, very simple wooden structure deck using weldments, though. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a weldment feature. What this will do is just tell the system that I don't want anything to merge results by default, and that I'm probably going to use weldments. Now the next thing I'll do is start a sketch on the top plane. In this case, I'm just going to do a simple rectangle, and it looks like I did leave this in millimeters, so I'm going to change it back to feet and inches, so it'll be a little bit easier, well, at least inches, so it'll be a little bit easier to deal with. Just change it back to inch, pound, second, and that'll be fine. Now, for my sketch, I just need to add a couple more dimensions. I need to add we'll make this a 10-foot by, fit that to the screen, by 12-foot deck. That will be fine. So this is going to be the basis of our deck. This is actually the interior dimension, and the little molding pieces, the 2x6 molding pieces, will go around the outside. The initial frame will be right under that. So we'll select Finish, and let's add a structural member. Now, as I mentioned before, it's very important to make sure your structural members are situated within the folder structure exactly as they are in the default SolidWorks templates. And this is the reason, because you can select wood profiles, construction lumber. These folders are exactly as they are in the other folders. So we want a 2x6, and for my group, I'm just going to select the outside of this. Now, of course, this isn't oriented exactly how I want it. I want these to be sideways, so I do want a miter corner treatment. But what we'll do is we'll select Locate Profile. We're actually going to locate the profile on this edge, and then we're going to rotate it. I think maybe, let's try 90 degrees. Now I want to rotate it the other direction. So that would be 270 degrees. That is what I want to see. So you'll start to see this is the exterior profile of our deck. We're going to have our planking on top and our reinforcements below. So I'll select Check there, and we've finished the main piece of the top of the deck. So let's add our ribbing along the bottom for our framing along the bottom to keep everything put together. The first thing we'll add, though, is a rectangular path on the inside that will define everything else. So let's again add a structural member. In this case, I'm going to pick out the 2x4s because that's what I'm going to use for all my framing. I'll select each of these lines, same lines I used in the previous sketch. Looks like I missed that one. There we go. And we're going to again locate the profile so it is in the correct orientation. Looks like I'll need to locate that way. So there we've got the internal framing for our deck. We'll select Check, and we're finished with that. Now at this point, I want to create a 6-inch off-center member there. So I'm going to select the top plane again, create a new sketch. We'll select Normal too. And this way I can define a new line to control the location of that member, and we'll define that as being 6 inches from this. 6 inches. There we go. We'll finish that profile. We'll finish that sketch, and we'll add, once again, another structural member. Select that, and again, we're going to have to locate the profile. So we'll come down here to locate the profile. We have to select this internal edge so that it is, in fact, 6 inches from center to center. We'll select Check. And now, since this is properly trimmed already, as that's how I drew the sketch, I can, oh, it might not be properly trimmed. Let's take a look. Make sure that I did this correctly. Yes, it is properly trimmed. So, the next thing we need to do is pattern this, so that then we have as many as we need, 6 inches off center. So we'll go to Features, Linear Pattern. We'll select a direction, which along this edge is just fine, along my original sketch. We'll set that to 6 inches. Now here's one of the tricky parts, is make sure that you select bodies to pattern, because I want to pattern this entire body, not just the feature it's based on. Looks like we have a few too many, so that looks about right. 19 structural members. We'll select check and drop those in place. Last but not least, all I have to do is add the planking. And again, for this, I can actually still use my original sketch. I'm going to make it transverse to the decking, to the framing plate. So I will add in another structural member. Select just this one path, which I had pre-selected that, so it's okay. And now I need to locate the profile. So I will locate the profile based on that edge. Looks like I will need to rotate it 90 degrees. Perfect. Looks like everything is already trimmed in place, so we'll just select check. And now, last but not least, we can pattern the decking material over the top. So I'll select linear pattern once again, select my direction, and again, bodies to pattern. That is one of the keys. And it looks like, well, first of all, these can't be 6 inches apart. They need to be 3.5 inches apart. Looks like that will work nicely. And I can add in the rest of my decking material. Select check, and you can see just how quickly we could create a full wooden structure deck with some very, very simple commands and only a few modifications to our weldment profiles. This is a pretty good deck system. All I'd need, of course, to add now is some drilled holes, but that'd be relatively easy again. Since we're in the part level, we can add quite a few linear patterns and mirrors, things of that nature. And that concludes this blog posting, and it's the second feature of this one. So hopefully that gives you a few more ideas on ways to use SolidWorks.